In a recent CBS News poll, 2 out of 3 Americans told us they're stressed about their own finances.
On the CBS Money Watch, the U.S. economy has a case of foodflation.
The majority of Americans don't make enough money to cover some of the basic costs of living, like health care and rent.
America is facing a crisis that most people don't even see coming. Families who work full-time jobs are slipping through the cracks. Bills are piling up, savings are gone, and the so-called middle class? It's vanishing before our eyes. Today, I'm going to show you the truth, what life in America really looks like in 2025. The numbers will shock you, but the stories behind them, they'll break your heart. Take a look at this map. Every red zone you see isn't just a statistic. It's a family losing access to electricity, water, or gas at rates we haven't seen since the Great Depression. And those dark patches? They're not empty spaces. They're tent cities. Whole communities of working Americans who have jobs, but still can't afford a roof over their heads. And this isn't happening overseas. This is America, right now. What you're witnessing is the slow breakdown of the basic living standards we used to take for granted. The scariest part? Most people have no idea just how bad it's become. Let me give you the numbers that paint the picture. The Federal Reserve says nearly 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing or selling something. Think about that. Almost half the country is one flat tire, one medical bill, one bad day away from financial ruin. But it's not just about savings. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows wages are crawling up at just 4.1%, while the cost of surviving is exploding. Electricity bills up 23.8%, gas up 15.2%, food up 11.4%. Your paycheck goes up 4%. The things you need to stay alive go up 15 to 25%. That's not inflation. That's economic suffocation, systematic impoverishment happening in real time. And behind every number is a person, a family, a neighbor. People who once thought they were middle class now realizing the floor has been ripped out from under them. This isn't theory. This is reality. And I'm about to show you what it looks like on the ground.
I am homeless, and I live here in my car because while I work 50 to 60 hours every single week, I don't make enough money to afford an apartment, which is now over $1,800 per month on average, and often more than that. And every single day here on social media, people are leaving comments and sending me messages saying that I'm not homeless because I live in my car and I need to stop calling myself homeless. So I looked up the actual definition of homeless, and it is people living in a place not meant for human habitation, such as the streets, cars, or abandoned buildings. And that is the literal definition of homeless. You know, some people live in their cars out of choice, or they want to do hashtag van life. I live in my car because I lost my apartment, and then I was outpriced of the rental market because rent prices tripled over the last 4 years. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day. Bye.
This is America in 2025. And let me be clear, we're not talking about people who refuse to work. We're talking about Americans who are employed, often full-time, yet still can't afford something as basic as shelter. According to HUD's latest data, 40% of homeless Americans actually have jobs. Think about that. Nearly half of the homeless population is working, but their paychecks simply aren't enough to keep a roof over their heads. What used to be unthinkable is now becoming the new normal, and the numbers back it up. The Federal Reserve's latest survey shows around 40% of Americans still can't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing or selling something they own. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports wages rising a modest 4.1% year over year. But the essentials of life are skyrocketing out of reach. Electricity is up 23.8%, natural gas 15.2%, and food costs have surged 11.4% nationwide. The American Community Survey adds another layer of crisis. 21 million Americans, about 6.5% of the population, are spending more than half their income just on housing. And in big cities, that number soars to over 30% of residents. Imagine working 40, 50, even 60 hours a week, and more than half of your paycheck vanishes just to keep a roof overhead. It doesn't stop there. The USDA reports 38 million Americans, including 12 million children, live with food insecurity. That means parents across the country are being forced into heartbreaking choices: feed their kids or eat themselves. And here's the harsh truth. When adjusted for median income, housing costs in America have hit levels we haven't seen since the Great Depression. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition makes it plain. Nowhere in the United States, not rural Mississippi, not small-town Ohio, not anywhere, can a worker earning minimum wage afford a modest two-bedroom apartment. This isn't just a statistic. It's millions of families making impossible choices every single day.
A few days ago, I did a post about what I'm doing to try to reduce the costs in my home, and I asked people what they were doing, partly because I thought it would help us share ideas with one another. But the amount of comments on that post where people are saying, I feed my children and I don't eat, or I eat every third day, or I'm eating one meal a day, or the bare minimum food is a pretty common trend in that post. While we've been watching the situation going on in Gaza, it's happening closer to home too. There are many people here who are literally that food insecure. And I know the whole platform was, oh, there's so much abuse and SNAP and this and that. There are actually people not eating for days here. And I don't think that's getting enough attention. You know, most of us can't see outside of our own situation. We don't understand what it's like to be in that situation. You know, it's a bother to us to be proposed with people that are homeless. It's a bother to us to hear people complain that I'm hungry.
The USDA says it loud and clear. 38 million Americans, including 12 million children, don't have enough to eat. And let's be real, these aren't just the unemployed. These are working families, people clocking in every single day, yet still unable to feed everyone in their household. The cracks are showing everywhere. Utility shutoffs are now 40% higher than before 2020. Food banks that once served the poorest of the poor are now serving 50% more families than just 3 years ago. And most of those families actually have jobs. Think about that. Moms, dads, and breadwinners who once donated to food banks are now the ones waiting in line. And this crisis doesn't stop at the margins. It's not just the rural poor in Mississippi or Arkansas. It's middle-class households in Detroit, Baltimore, Los Angeles, even college graduates with decent jobs who still can't cover the basics. But maybe the most devastating part isn't even hunger itself. It's what it does to the mind. Listen to people's stories and you'll hear the same words again and again. Fear, exhaustion, hopelessness. Parents lying awake at night wondering which bill won't get paid. Workers showing up every day with empty stomachs, pretending they're okay. This isn't just an economic problem, it's economic trauma, a wave of stress and despair that's reshaping entire communities across America.
$830.27. Anybody want to guess what that is? You won't guess, so I'm just going to share it with you. That is my electric bill this month. Okay, full disclosure, that is less than last month. Our bill last month was $1,130.98. I'm sorry, it's insane. That is my mortgage payment plus more. Okay, I don't know how anybody is expected to pay that. So, I mean, our house is big. It's not huge. It's not a mansion. It's about 2,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. We had 5 children. Our bills with our children, all 5 living at home, were between $400 and $700 a month. So we have called the electric company. They've come out. We live beside a restaurant. We were adamant that we were paying the electric company's bill also. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who can afford even $400 a month for electricity, but they expect us to pay $830 or $1,130. So, yeah, I logged in this morning to see what our bill was when it was due, $830.27.
Look at this, an $800 electric bill for an ordinary family home. Just 2 years ago, That exact same house would have paid maybe $200, $300 tops. And these aren't people running Bitcoin miners or heating Olympic-sized pools. These are working families just trying to live their lives, and suddenly, basic electricity has become unaffordable. And it's not just one family, it's happening nationwide. What makes it even harder to swallow? While regular people are drowning in bills, utility companies are reporting record profits. Families are forced to decide, keep the lights on or buy groceries for the week. That's how broken the system has become. The essentials of life, electricity, water, heat, are being turned into luxury items.
You know how I know America is struggling? It's been about 14 days since I had one single job. I went a whole year working at least 1 or 2 jobs per day. And now, 14 days, nothing's changed, everything's good, I got good reviews, everything's, I'm a handyman, so do yard work, electrical, all sorts of stuff. 14 days, I have not had one single job. Nothing's changed, everything's good. I'm getting clicks, I'm getting, everything's good. That tells me that Americans are going super broke. They're trying to do things themselves, which is fine, but 14 days, not one single job. The struggle is about to get real, y'all.
This story isn't just about one person. It represents the collapse of the small business economy, the same economy that once gave working-class Americans a path to stability. From the factory towns of the Rust Belt to the farming communities of the Great Plains, the skilled tradespeople who built America's middle class are now staring at a future with no jobs, no work, nothing at all. When a skilled handyman with glowing reviews can't get a single job for weeks, it tells us something fundamental has broken. And it's not limited to one region. It stretches from the industrial centers of Pittsburgh and Cleveland all the way to the service-driven economies of Las Vegas and Orlando. And what's emerging in their place? Tent cities. Not temporary shelters, but permanent encampments. From the Hollywood Hills to downtown Austin, from Seattle's waterfront parks to the deserts outside Las Vegas, these aren't the homeless camps of the past. These are communities of working Americans who simply can't afford rent in modern-day America. But here's the part that truly makes this feel like third-world conditions: the complete lack of response. In a functioning society, when millions can't afford the basics, you'd expect emergency programs, sweeping reforms, some kind of action. Instead, we're told everything is fine, that the economy is strong, that we should be grateful. The disconnect is staggering. Politicians boast about job growth while people juggle 2 or 3 jobs and still can't survive. They celebrate stock market records while ordinary families are being forced to choose between medicine and food. This isn't prosperity, this is abandonment.
I don't know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids and I'm working 3 jobs and I'm still struggling. My full-time job, I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. Sometimes I have to pick. Am I gonna pay my electric bill or am I gonna buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. So many people are going to work, working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in, just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream, not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling. Why's it gotta be so hard?
What we're seeing now is part of a much larger trend: strategic defaults. Ordinary people are making the painful choice to stop paying credit cards, stop paying medical bills, just to free up money for food and shelter. That's not financial planning. That's survival mode economics. And here's what's even more revealing. Creditors aren't even chasing these debts aggressively anymore. Why? Because they know the truth. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. And right now, that stone is a massive portion of the American population. Layer on top of that the healthcare crisis. Families from rural Tennessee to suburban Phoenix are being forced into impossible choices: life-saving medication, or the mortgage payment. Medical bankruptcy has become common across America's heartland, wiping out families who once thought they were financially secure. And let's be clear, comparing this to third-world conditions isn't an exaggeration. It's not minimizing the struggles of developing nations. It's exposing just how far American living standards have collapsed. When full-time workers in the richest country on earth live in conditions that previous generations would have found unthinkable, something is deeply broken. The worst part? How normal it's all become. Economic desperation is being treated as if it's just another part of modern life. People are now swapping advice online about which bills you can skip without immediate consequences, as if strategic poverty management has become a basic life skill in America. This isn't normal, it's a crisis, and pretending otherwise only makes it worse.
$6.15 fucking cents for a half a pound of Greek hot sweet peppers. What the hell? Is this what you voted for? The highest fucking food cost I've ever seen in my entire life? $9 for some damn pizza sauce. $10 fucking for a small pack of Starbucks coffee. Oh my God. Got a dang sweet treat for the dog. $20. Sweet treat for the dog. Sorry. $20. I guess you're gonna have to just find me fucking stinking. Cause look at that. Clearance, $8.39. I'm telling you right now, we're going to be paying $100,000 for a loaf of bread before this administration is over. The same administration that told us that on day one energy prices would come down, that the war in the Ukraine would be over, that the price of gas, food, and it's all going to be a miracle. And if you go on their Instagram page right now, they're telling you it is a miracle. Only we can see. Our wallets know.
What we're seeing now is part of a much larger trend: strategic defaults. Ordinary people are making the painful choice to stop paying credit cards, stop paying medical bills, just to free up money for food and shelter. That's not financial planning. That's survival mode economics. And here's what's even more revealing. Creditors aren't even chasing these debts aggressively anymore. Why? Because they know the truth. You can't squeeze blood from a stone. And right now, that stone is a massive portion of the American population. Layer on top of that the healthcare crisis. Families from rural Tennessee to suburban Phoenix are being forced into impossible choices: life-saving medication or the mortgage payment. Medical bankruptcy has become common across America's heartland, wiping out families who once thought they were financially secure. And let's be clear, comparing this to third-world conditions isn't an exaggeration. It's not minimizing the struggles of developing nations. It's exposing just how far American living standards have collapsed. When full-time workers in the richest country on earth live in conditions that previous generations would have found unthinkable, something is deeply broken. The worst part? How normal it's all become. Economic desperation is being treated as if it's just another part of modern life. People are now swapping advice online about which bills you can skip without immediate consequences, as if strategic poverty management has become a basic life skill in America. This isn't normal, it's a crisis, and pretending otherwise only makes it worse.